So in the first part of this video, we've made this trail in Substance Designer. Let's now try to explore slightly different variations so we can pack all those 3 trails into our RGB texture. So we've got one trail. Let's maybe start from here and get another non-uniform warp grayscale. I'm going to apply exactly the same blur to it, and in here let's try slightly different settings. Okay, so I'm gonna go with maybe 80 for intensity. For the warp angle, let's try maybe 180, just so we can see how it looks reversed. For the mode, let's get min again, as we did in our previous non-uniform directional warp grayscale. But in here, let's get slightly different settings for the trail maybe. Or let's see how it looks with a different trail. And in here, I'm gonna max this one out as well. I think it's a little bit too much, and I kind of like to maintain those lines I have there. Okay, so I've got this. Let's get our gradient map. Okay, but in here, I'm just gonna adjust it slightly. So I want to bring those lines a bit forward. Okay. I'm gonna get this one again. I'm gonna extract some shapes from it. So that will be just those lines with the high contrast, and I'm gonna blend them back in here. I'm gonna use them maybe as a max for now, put it back into the gradient map. And I think I just need them to be on add, and I'm gonna control the opacity like this, just to bring those lines a bit forward. And I'm gonna blend this one, sorry, blur it a little bit. And I'm gonna control that blur now slightly. I got overblown areas here and there, so let's try to minimize those. Gonna add contrast, but it seems it doesn't work, so I'm just gonna get rid of this, and I'm gonna head back to maybe clearer area where I can extract those lines in the middle, maybe here. So histogram scan. Oops. Okay, histogram scan. Let's see if we can blend this one back into here. And I'm going to add some transformation as well, so I can offset it slightly in the middle. And like this, and let's increase that opacity now, so we can introduce those highlights you can see there. So now they feel a bit more random in my opinion. So I think this could be our second trail. And for the third trail, let's maybe get another uniform grayscale. I'm gonna copy and paste it maybe somewhere at the top. Double click, and in here I'm just gonna introduce this trail curve a bit more. Okay, I'm gonna try slightly different settings here. And I think I want this to be this direction. Okay, gonna bring back our lines slightly. I still want this to be quite wispy trail. Gonna put it here. I think the same issue. I mean, it's quite wispy. I quite like it, but I think the same issue we've got with the lines. So I think it might be a cool idea to extract those lines. Let's see if we can get them from this texture. Okay, it might work. So I'm gonna blend them back in now. Oop, that goes to the top, that goes to the background here, and I'm just gonna add this to add linear, obviously overblown. So I'm gonna scale back my opacity and I want to introduce those highlights back to it. Okay, so I quite like it. Let's check. I'm gonna get this gradient map, copy and paste it to that one. So we've got one trail. This one is a bit more swirly. It's got so many rounded shapes there. That one's a bit more wispy. I think this might be slightly better for our projectile. And we've got that one, which we're definitely going to use as a background trail. Okay, so next I'm going to bring RGB merge, and I'm going to get the grayscale. So that was going to be first, second, and third. And we've got 3 trails in one texture. So I'm just going to export it into Unreal Engine Unity. And if you'd like to continue that tutorial and create the projectile from scratch, feel free to head to 1mfx.com, where you can get those tutorials. But also we're going to need some soft shapes. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to get maybe one of those trails for now, just to test the idea if it's going to work. And I'm going to use Make It Tile Patch Grayscale. Okay, in here, I'm just going to try different settings and let's see which one might work to create a very nice shape for me. Okay, octaves, gonna get it back down. Rotation, just gonna randomize it. Size variation, just slightly, maybe 50. This one, maybe I'm just gonna put 300 here. Okay, what else can we check? I mean, this might be pretty cool, but maybe low value, something like 0.3. And I'm gonna change the disorder slightly now because I want the main shapes to be somewhere in the middle, something like this. And I'm gonna use blend. I'm gonna get the shape here. I need the soft circle. And I'm just gonna blend it with that soft circle next here. I'm gonna use this as a multiply. So I definitely need this to be on 100%. I'm gonna scale the circle just a bit down. Like this, and also I can warp it slightly so I can avoid having this circle shape, which is very visible here. Okay, so here I'm gonna get Perlin noise, go low on the scale, and here let's explore maybe 200. Gonna use 4 directions, but obviously not that much intensity. Maybe something like this. I'm gonna scale the circle down, and I'm going to blur this. Let's try maybe scale of 50. Okay, let's start scaling it back to here. Increase the shape slightly, so we can just cover the edges, and I'm gonna use that one as my mask. Cool, so I think that looks a lot better. Next I'm gonna use auto levels just to bring this highlight back in and to balance the texture slightly. I'm gonna see if I can maybe increase the octaves here. So as you can see, it depends how much details you actually need. If you need a bit more details, you can just increase the octaves and it should work. Okay, mask size, I'm not gonna touch that one. Precision. I think I'm just gonna get very low value here because I need the data for my texture. Okay, size variation, octaves. I actually quite like this. I'm gonna try different disorder. I think that looks pretty cool, so I'm just gonna keep it. I'm gonna get my gradient next, and maybe one of those that's got a better highlights. Paste it here and use it for that one. So as you can see, I think it creates very nice soft shapes we can use in the for the projectile. So I'm just gonna keep this one, next, I'm just gonna see if I can maybe copy this whole setup, because I would like to have slightly different shapes. So that's going to be for one. I'm gonna have another setup for this trail maybe. I'm gonna plug it into the gradient just to test it if we're still having texture looking okay. I think it looks okay, just a slightly too many highlights in a weird area. So I'm gonna do is just go here, play with the disorder slightly. Maybe something like this. See if I can play with the octaves. I think that's way too much, but I quite like this. This is very soft and I quite like how it looks. Let's play with the different disorder, see if we can get slightly different shape. I do quite like this. I'm just gonna stick with that one. And finally, for number 3, I'm just gonna copy and paste the whole setup again. Place it down. I'm gonna get our final trail, which is that one, and see if I can just plug it in here. So again, soft shape, really cool looking one. I'm gonna go to our make a tile patch and actually gonna try different octaves for that one. Cool. I think that one looks pretty good. And I definitely is going to work with our soft shape. So let me get this gradient again, just so we can have a look at 3 textures. So 1, 2, and 3. I think this one's going to bring a lot of details to the to that smoky shape. Okay, so let's do the same thing. I'm just going to get my RGB merge. I'm going to plug in the grayscales. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to save this texture. We're going to continue this in the game engine. I think we can build something pretty cool there, because we got 3 different trails. You're going to see which one works best for our projectile. And we got also those really cool soft shapes. We can apply some UV distortion to it and use it as a smoky texture just to add the details to the projectile. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. I think turning those trails into the soft textures, especially they kind of look, I think they look in the similar style. So for example, if we're gonna get this trail and we're gonna get this texture, I think they're in a similar style, which gonna make it easier for us to make the projectile in the same style. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this one and see you in the next one.